Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Once again, we find ourselves on Derpenberg. Erlenberg, infamous in the past for being probably the map with the single most opportunities to drive off a perfectly good piece of land into water and drown yourself, making yourself look like an absolute tit in front of both your and the enemy team. Although with the introduction of World of Tanks 1.0, and the physical reworking of all of the maps, the opportunities for making yourself look like an absolute arse to everybody present in the battle are a lot more limited than they used to be. But, well, that doesn't mean it's impossible. This is... I actually have no idea how to pronounce his name. Two Eyes? Pippy? Pippy? We're just going to call him Pip. This is Pip in the Object 907. In case you haven't seen one of these, they're not particularly common. It's a reward tank that was given to the top 3,000 players on the North American server and the top 11,000 players on the EU server, with the most fame points during the 3rd, 4th and 5th Clan Wars seasons. It's a Tier 10 premium Soviet medium tank, because clearly 5 Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks weren't enough, and what the game really needed was a 6th. And as a Tier 10 Soviet medium tank, you can pretty much guess what to expect of this thing. It's got extremely trollish armour. It's got a very strong turret, exceptionally high damage per minute, even if the gun doesn't have huge alpha. It does have a very fast rate of fire, very good gun handling. The tank is fast and agile. Just about the only downsides are that it doesn't carry a huge amount of ammunition, although it does still carry almost twice as much as a Batchat, and... no, that's about it really. So, pretty much like every other Soviet Tier 10 medium tank in the game. No real weaknesses. Oh, wait, the gun depression's terrible. Yeah, there we go. I knew there was something bad about this tank. Like the other Soviet Tier 10 mediums, the gun depression isn't particularly good. So, lousy gun depression, and it doesn't carry a huge amount of ammunition. Other than that, yeah, this is a great tank. And let's not forget that in order to get this tank, you have to finish in the top 3,000 on the North American server, or the top 11,000 on the EU server in the 3rd, 4th and 5th Clan Wars campaign seasons. So anybody that you see driving this ridiculously good tank is probably also going to be reasonably good at playing the game. Anyway, back to the battle. Pip's team only have 2 tanks on this side of the map. Pretty much everybody else is either clustered down at the southern map border or getting their asses handed to them in the centre of the map. There's just Pip, and I can't even make out what it is, but there's another medium tank behind him. There's just Pip and that one other medium over here, and they're almost certainly outnumbered by the enemy tanks in front of them. They're also taking flanking fire on those occasions when they do get spotted from all of those enemy tanks in the centre of the town, and if they were to break cover, push over this ridge, they'd not only be exposing themselves to fire from the multitude of enemy tanks that are out there in front of them without any kind of concealment, but they'd also be taking flanking fire from all of those enemy tanks in the centre of the town. If you have a look at the map, you'll note that the team also only have 1 tank, a T-57 Heavy, all the way over on the western flank in the location of the castle, and he is also outnumbered by the enemy tanks in front of him, which means those clowns in the centre of the map actually outnumbered the enemy tanks in the centre of the map and are still getting their asses handed to them by them. Now, you've probably got your own ideas about exactly whose fault this is, but you will also probably not be surprised, as Pip does his level best to help take the pressure off his team in the centre of the map, but you will probably not be surprised at all to hear that those guys in the centre of the map are blaming their misfortunes squarely on Pip over here on the far eastern flank, and the Progetto 65 with him. Yes, it's Pip's fault that they're all getting killed by enemies that they did outnumber. They don't now because they've all died. It's Pip's fault because he didn't suicide rush over this hill, abandoning all cover and driving out into the middle of the open ground, right in front of the guns of all the enemy tanks waiting on the other side of the hill, and eating flanking shots from all of those enemy tanks in the centre of the map. Pip, how could you be so callous? Well, yeah. I have other ideas about who bears the responsibility for the slaughter and carnage being inflicted on Pip's team over there in the centre of the map, but apparently it's not a very popular opinion, so I'll just keep it to myself. Oh, even the Progetto 65 is abandoning him now. So if he wasn't already outnumbered by the tanks in front of him, he definitely is now. Then again, To be fair to the Progetto, I did initially think that he was just getting sick and tired of sitting here behind Pip with nothing to shoot at, and he ran off to make himself more useful elsewhere. But he is actually abandoning Pip to his fate. What he's actually done is he's retreated further to the south, and he's taking cover in the woods, with nothing to shoot at for now. But he's hoping that if those enemy mediums in front of Pip on the far side of the wooded ridge suddenly rush over, he will then have something to shoot at while they're busy kicking Pip to death. So, well, I assume that's what he's doing. It seems logical. He could, of course, also just be hiding all the way down by J0, hoping for the match to end quickly so he can make it into the next game with his tank intact. Either way, good job, teammate. But do remember that Progetto 65, because we're going to be seeing more of him later. Right, things are starting to hot up over here. Enemy medium tanks are pushing around. Pip is taking a lot of damage, and he's not doing a huge amount of damage in return. This is the kind of fight where you really want a tank that has a gun with a lot of alpha damage. So you can pop out, take the shot, do a lot of damage, and then roll back into cover. You don't really want to be trading shots with other tier 10 Soviet mediums, because their DPM is as good, or almost as good as yours. The team are managing to pull some of the kills back, but they're still down by 2 kills. For the next minute or so, there's just going to be a bit of positioning going on as Pip just tries to get some shots into the enemy tanks that are visible to him. The T-57 Heavy, all the way on the other side of the map, assisted by a shit bomb down to his south, has actually managed to do a pretty good job of holding off superior numbers of enemy tanks to his north. But something significant is about to happen over here. Not much, but enough for Pip to decide it might be worth taking a chance. Don't worry about the Progetto 65, you're not going to get any help from him. There were at least 2 enemy tier 10 mediums on the hill in front of Pip. An Object 430U, and there he is. Which means that the Object 140, and Pip's asking for help from the Progetto, yeah, don't waste your time. But it probably means that the Object 140 is now the only enemy tank on the hill in front of Pip, so he decides it's worth the risk, and cautiously, he goes looking for him. And sure enough, there he is. That guy's now a one-shot kill. He's fluffed his shot against Pip. Pip does have a... oh, not quite a one-shot kill. Okay, he is now. That was kind of unfortunate. The Object 140 is not an easy tank to kill. Not if you can go hull down. But, well, the 907 does have a very, very tough turret. Not tough enough. He took damage, but he managed to get the kill. The scores are now even. And if we're going to be completely fair here, we do have to give some credit to the M48 pattern and IS-7 in the centre of the town, because they are heavily outnumbered. And despite the odds, they are still alive. Thanks not just to them, of course, but also from the flanking support fire from Pip over here, friendly artillery, and no doubt also that Grilla 15 to their rear. And the team are now 2 kills up. Looking to exploit this sudden advantage, Pip's moving in further to the centre. He did get spotted on the way, but there doesn't appear to be anything in a position to take advantage of that and shoot at him. Right. Help is on the way, boys. Just try to stay alive. Oh, bollocks. They've lost the IS-7, but there's the Object 430U. Pip, however, only has 471 health, and there's a Super Conqueror lurking around here somewhere. Checks to make sure it's clear. And he does make a bit of a misplay here. I mean, he's trying to help out his friend in the M48 against the Object 430U, but the shot actually hits and tracks the M48 instead, and shaves off what precious little health he had remaining. So that was, I don't know if he was just greedy for the kill on the Object 430U, but that could and should have been avoided. They are still 2 kills ahead, however. Oh, here comes the Progetto, day late and a dollar short, as usual. There are still 5 enemy tanks that need killing, and we only know where 2 of them are, the IS-7 and Centurion Action 10, being engaged still by the T-57 Heavy all the way over there to the west, but now with plenty of support, particularly from the remaining tank destroyers on the team. Pip, meanwhile, flanking around, once again to the east, trying to get eyes on that Mouse and Super Conqueror, survivors of the battle in the centre of the town. There's the Progetto 65, which you can see on the map heading south, directly away from all of the enemy tanks, for reasons known only to himself. The enemy team, however, do still have some fight left in them. They've just knocked out 2 friendly tanks, equalising the scores once again. And while the remaining tanks on both teams are both knocking each other out one after the other further over to the west, Pip does momentarily spot that Super Conqueror, but he does not take the shot. Possibly because he doesn't want to get spotted, also because he wouldn't have been able to kill the Super Conqueror, he was only ever going to get one shot at him. And in the length of time it would have taken him to stop and aim, the Super Conqueror did go undetected. Pip's looking for the artillery though. This is also, because he's flanking around, going to put him in position to the rear of the surviving enemy tanks, but it's taken him so long, and his team keep losing tanks. Well, he does find the artillery. The question is it going to have been worth it? It's going to take 2 shots, of course, but that's not a problem. Got him. Once again, the scores are even, 12 kills per team. So, it's 3 against 3. Artillery, Progetto, Object 907, against IS-7, Mouse, and Super Conqueror. The Super Conqueror is probably going to take 2, maybe 3 hits to kill. The Mouse, don't know exactly how much health the Mouse has, but I'm pretty sure the last time we saw him, he may even be a one-shot kill. The IS-7, no idea. Pip has less than 500 health remaining. So the IS-7 can one-shot him, the Mouse can one-shot him, the Super Conqueror is going to require 2 hits. On the plus side, they're all heavy tanks. The Mouse in particular is not the stealthiest of machines. And Pip does have artillery on his side, so it's going to be a question of spotting these guys. And doing whatever damage you can, preferably from stealth. But first, you've got to spot them. Now I don't know if this was down to luck or judgment, but the Progetto has managed to get eyes on and kill the Super Conqueror. So, hooray! That just leaves the Mouse and the IS-7. And we know the Mouse doesn't have a huge amount of health, but we have no idea how much health, or even where, the IS-7 is. The only thing we know about the IS-7 was that he was the one that killed the T-57 Heavy all the way over on the western flank. But that was so long ago, he could be anywhere by now. And since the Progetto appears to be determined to try to escape into the next map, it's down to Pip to actually root out and locate the 2 surviving enemy heavy tanks. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that with the introduction of World of Tanks patch 1.0 and the remodelling of all of the maps in the games, it's significantly harder to drown yourself on Derpenberg than it used to be in the past, and that's largely because of these concrete embankments. See, previously you could fall off into the river here and there was no way of getting out. Well, now it's not only a lot harder to fall into the river, but it's also a lot easier to get out, thanks to the addition of these concrete embankments. So we don't see nearly as many drowning deaths on Derpenberg now as we used to in the past. Also, the water is significantly shallower at the edges in places as well, which, if you know the depth of water at the various points along the river, means that you can actually use the river in a way that you couldn't prior to the introduction of World of Tanks patch 1.0 as a means of actually crossing from one side of the map to the other, providing you actually know the depths of water at the various points. 2 minutes of this game remaining. Pip still desperately searching for the Mouse and the IS-7. Both tanks that can one-shot kill him. Both tanks that only have to get lucky once to put an end to this battle as far as Pip's concerned. Coming up to 1.5 minutes remaining, and Pip must be sweating bullets right now, knowing that he could come across an enemy top tier heavy tank at any second. And at this stage of the game, with this much riding on the outcome, well, the 907's turret is fairly strong and the armour is fairly trollish, but you have to expect pretty much everybody involved has pressed their 2 key by now. Pip certainly has. Come on, where are you? Where are you? Where the hell can they be? Oh, we found the Mouse, and he is a one-shot kill. 1 minute remaining. Help! Shot from artillery. This is, well, thanks for trying. Progetto 65, still heading north. This way, you fool! Come on, oh crap, there's the IS-7 as well. The Progetto 65 eventually turns around and starts heading in the right direction, and has in fact killed the Mouse. Fantastic. He is actually useful to the team alive. That just leaves the IS-7. Pip's managed to shave some health off. There's less than 30 seconds of this game remaining. The IS-7 is coming around. He knows he has to get the kill. Pip's bounced. He's taken a hit from the IS-7. It was a low damage roll. He has survived. Pip ducking down into the water. Artillery hits, doesn't kill. Pip fires and it bounces. Progetto 65 comes rushing around to the rear and drives straight into the river. Derpenberg claims another victim. Which just goes to show, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And on that heartbreaker of a bombshell, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.